Let's blow this up.
All right, guys, this is real now. We actually have to do this. We are live to the world. It is the world premiere installment of Let's Blow This Up Live. I am your host, Jason Cercone, and I am surrounded by an all-star cast, an all-star ensemble. We have half the crew from, well, Jay, you get a pass and an exception. Okay. So we've got almost the whole crew from season 1 of Let's Blow This Up, and we're kicking off this weekly live stream in style. I'd like to welcome Jay Franze, Alexandra Watkins, Stacy Skiavo. Damn it, Skiavo. Help me. I knew I'd fuck
You
this
got a
up.
second. Actually, for the first time today, one of my coworkers pronounced my name correctly, and it startled me. So
the vowels screw me up, Steve. It's like Dwayne Wade.
I know, right?
It's like Dwayne Wade's
it is
name,
incorrect.
The Y
it
and
is
A.
Incorrect. I wouldn't have corrected you no matter what. It's my fault. It's fine.
Well,
please carry on.
No, I knew I effed it up, so I had to correct myself. But I'm glad we're, a minute into this thing, and we're already gaffing it up. So Stacy Skiavo, Steve Radick to complete the lineup. Guys, welcome. This is fun. I'm glad you could be here to make this world premiere come to life.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
You bet. So for those watching us live, if you haven't done so already, jump into and don't do it now. Do it when you're done watching us live. But go into your favorite podcast app of choice and check out Let's Blow This Up Season 1, and you'll hear all of the great episodes featuring these 4 people and myself in a solo episode, but also on all the other ones because it's my show. It's funny how those things work out. Nice. But here we are, a class reunion, if you will. I've never seen, and this is why I wanted to do this, because, I'm sure this has been done, but I've never seen it. So it's one of those old NBC things. If I haven't seen it, it's new to me.
It's like the Friends reunion that they did. I think we're basically on the same level when they brought all the friends back, 20 years later. And
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I weigh 5, 10 pounds, 15 pounds more than I did when I did the podcast 3 weeks ago.
Sounds good. We have two more kids.
Yeah, there we go.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need more kids.
5 kids.
I don't have enough. I need and throw 2 more in there. What the hell?
Developed a peanut allergy somehow. I don't know how the hell that happened, but getting old rules. But no, we're absolutely on the same plane as the guys from Friends and the girls from Friends as well. But let's start tonight's conversation off by talking about season 1. So again, we concluded before we went live that only I have listened to all of the individual episodes because no one wants to wait. Okay.
Bad guest.
Well, Jay you didn't say anything.
I did. You just ignored me like you normally do. That's fine.
Fair enough. Okay. So Jay and I are the ones that have listened to everybody's episode, but I'd love to hear from you guys. If you've listened to your own episodes or people that you've shared the episode with, what kind of feedback have you received? What's been good about Let's Blow This Up so far?
I can kick it off if you want.
Kick it off, man.
Yeah.
I had one of my regular listeners from my show chime in and send me a message saying that they enjoyed the episode and they liked the fact that it was laid back and it wasn't so serious. So if that helps you any, the laid back mindset was good for them.
Good. Glad to hear that.
My kids listened to some of mine and asked, why would anyone listen to me? Because clearly they don't, and so they were wondering why anyone else would. That was the typical of the feedback that I get when I talk on these sorts of things.
So sassy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Seriously.
3 girls, especially my girls, are going to be sass to the max.
Did you say 3?
3 girls. Yeah. 10, 10, and 13. Twin girl. All girls. # girl dad. I'm like Kobe Bryant in that way. Like, me and him, very, very similar, athletic, parenting, very, very similar styles.
I could see that. I have 3 as well, sir. 14, 9, and 2.
Oh, wow. All girls too?
All girls.
Look at
God's way of punishing me.
Club.
Couple admirable dads right here.
Well, I only have 1, but she's a girl too.
There you go. 3.
I have a part-time dog who's also a girl.
Yeah, I have 1 too. Mine is, I was just have a 4.5-year-old girl, and she has 4 legs and a tail.
Yeah, Lucy's 13, and I just watch her every couple months because it's my boyfriend's parents' dog. But that's exactly what I want right now. Part-time dog is perfect.
It's all you need, trust me.
Yeah.
I feel like we should put up one of those signs that says "No boys allowed." It's like one of those exclusive clubs.
Oh, you can't like anytime I have one of my friends' boys over, or like they watch my girls and I watch their boy or whatever. It's like that Nate Bargatze sketch. It's like having a drunk raccoon in the house. Like
I love all of
I
this.
know how to deal with girls. Like you have a boy over, it's like what is going on? Like what drugs are you on?
I feel like it's so easy to resonate with like a lot of his stand-ups. Like I love the one about Afrin. Because like growing up that like I knew people, I was like partially addicted to a different nose spray for a while. And like you're not supposed to take that every day.
My wife has been on Afrin for over 3 years now. Every day for over 3 years.
Nate Bargatze's dad was on it for
Yeah.
what, 40?
That's the whole thing. And the doctor's like, you're supposed to stay on it for 5 days.
You're not supposed to take it like
No.
more than like 2 days in a row.
2 days, yeah.
I did not know that you could, quote unquote, be on Afrin.
Oh,
No,
hell
people
yeah.
are.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I just thought you took it if your sinuses were effed up. Like that does not
It
seem
works
like
like a
something you get
champ, and
addicted
then
to.
you never let go of it.
Wow.
It's
And then
clearly
it
an
stops
addiction,
working
right?
too.
Crystal meth, cocaine, Afrin, I got all in the same category. I had
It's
no
on the
clue.
same level.
So the cocaine and Coca-Cola started in like the 1800s.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Well, as predicted, we're already off track. That's one of the most awesome shows on television, The Food That Built America. And that's where I learned that fact, Steve. That
Mhm.
cocaine, Coca-Cola was all like they basically were pushing cocaine as a health additive or a health drug.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess could be, depending on whose point of view you want to believe. I've never done it, so I don't know. I have no frame of reference. I've never
It keeps
done
you moving.
Yeah, it's supposed to add something to your life.
it.
Energy.
Stacy, you'll know
Trouble.
the line from The Office. Man, did they move paper?
Yeah.
Dunder Mifflin in the 80s when they discovered cocaine. Well, how about you, Alexandra? Any good feedback on yours?
Have I done cocaine? Yeah.
I would
Yeah, we've
not
taken
you.
a lot.
No.
Yes, I survived the 80s. No, I was going to say, so yes, people really enjoyed the podcast and your style of interviewing. And also, I got somebody told me they really like your voice, and I agree. You do have a really nice podcasting voice.
Thank you.
But
Face for radio and a voice for podcasting. I love it.
so, what I've heard more from anyone is that they love the name of your podcast, which I agree. And you'll be happy to know I've been on over 100 podcasts now, and I always talk about the name of your podcast, and I also include it in all of my presentations now because it's just such an easy thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And how you have the bomb shelter or the bomb squad, let's blow this up. And I always say it is the most exciting podcast name. Like, you want to listen to it because it sounds like something really exciting is going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
See how timely is Mr. Ronick's comment? Let's blow this up. So I appreciate
It's an awesome name. I wish I came up with it.
No, that is mine. But as we talked about when you and I recorded, you were the inspiration. I feel like Peter Cetera should start singing you Karate Kid songs right now. But you were a lot of the ideas were in my head, but I just needed a way to unlock them. And it was the guidance that your book, which is behind you, Hello, My Name is Awesome, that really did help unlock it, because as I followed that process, it all came together. So anybody wanting to know more about that process should go listen to episode 2 of season 1 of Let's Blow This Up. Alexandra breaks it down in great detail. But I appreciate everything that you've done to spread the word about this show. And as I told you, getting your approval made me feel like I actually accomplished something, because I wasn't sure. I mean, again, in my head, I'm like, this sounds cool. All the little things that I'm coming up with because of the name sound cool, but until the queen hits it with her sword, I don't know. I'm gonna question it. But then you did, and here we are.
Yeah,
And
no,
just
it's
like that, you get us
awesome.
back on track.
See how it works? It's 10 years of experience
That's what I'm
You're a
saying.
pro.
coming together. Stacy, I know that I've had a few people tell me they're checking out your account now. because
Oh, it's great.
yeah,
Oh, look at
so this podcast thing, it works. It's crazy. But
It does.
Hashtag
I-
influencer.
Nice.
100%. And like I said, that feedback, it's always means a lot to me. And if I can steer somebody towards what someone else is doing and the good that you're doing, sharing the food stories of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I'm happy to see that happen. So what have folks said to you about your episode of Let's Blow This Up?
So a lot of my friends and family have told me it was really nice, just kind of escape to like listen to the end of their day. We had a lot of fun topics. I have a lot of friends that are big fans of The Office, just to kind of hear like our takes on things, think about their own opinions and share that with me. Of course, like all of my friends and family don't think that I'm funny. So that was another thing that like I try to be funny, but I'm not. But yeah, overall just enjoyable. It was like a nice catch up because I don't always give them the update and all the food scenes and like what's new and what's closing. So that was another way for them to get a nice update too.
I think you said some funny things.
I
if
think
recall.
I'm funny, but that doesn't matter, I guess.
Stacy always thinks she says funny things. Whether
Yeah.
other people agree or not is almost irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
No, because I'll laugh and I enjoy it, so it's fine.
Right.
Yeah, that's all that matters. If you're entertaining yourself, life's just that much more enjoyable.
We're
Right.
here
That's why
for
I
you.
say so many dad jokes. They make me laugh. Whether they make my kids laugh or not, whatever.
Someday-
Easy
They're
ones.
secondary audience.
I think someday they will. That's the thing. I think kids look at that stuff now and might roll their eyes, but down the road, they're going to think about those jokes and think about how into them you were, and they're going to appreciate you for it.
They won't even realize it, and they'll start saying them, and then before they
Yeah.
know, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm dad.
All
Yeah.
of the good parts of parenting is long-term delayed gratification. It's like, oh, you do this great thing now. They don't give a shit now. In
Yeah.
20 years, they'll love it though. Or do this now. In 15 years, they'll appreciate it. I'm like, how about something now? How about a thank you now? How about a love that dad now? Nope, nothing. None. Don't expect any of that. Just wait 20 years, and then it's the greatest long-term play ever. Stacy, you'll love it.
Yeah, I haven't even gotten started yet, so it's got a lot of time.
Well, your dog might have something to say about the dad jokes in a couple of years too. So
Yeah, I mean the dog. That's
Mom jokes for
short-term
you.
gratification.
Yeah.
You give them a pepperoni, they love you. You give a kid a pepperoni, they're like, why are you giving me dog treats? I don't get it. I
They
try
still might
both.
eat it though.
No.
Mine would.
Well, I want to do this too, and this, Jay, this is in no way, shape, or form meant to toss you under the bus, but those that listen
Why
to,
stop now?
well, I know you have the beat button and you can use it whenever you want, so I'm sure you're going to use it when I bring up the fact that you have no idea what you're doing or talking about with steak.
Oh boy.
But we have a foodie on the show tonight, so I want her thoughts, and then we're going to roast you about how a steak should be made. Now, Stacy, if you're going to poke holes in my point here, this is going to suck.
She's not. She chimed in online. She agrees with
Did
you.
she? That was Cassie. I know Cassie did.
Just don't
Cassie
boil it in like
unfortunately couldn't be
16
here with
sticks
us.
of
Or I'm
melted butter.
expecting that you like it really well done.
I like it
Do you?
medium well to well done.
You gotta have like a little. It's gotta be moving a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit.
If it's
So like
done
well
by
done,
the-
you are
the
losing
correct
a lot of
person.
the flavor, and I get it. It's to each their own. I've heard quite a few people like that, but you do lose a lot of flavor, which I'm sure that's what Jason's getting at.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
not
you're-
doing it for that reason. He's just doing it to bust on me.
No,
But I think
I-
if it's done by the right person, if it's cooked well, I'm okay
No.
with it.
No. If I could save even one steak from being blackened, I will do my part to make that happen, because that's just wrong in so many ways. And I'm sorry that you feel differently.
It's okay. We all can't be right.
Stacy, I'm glad that you agree. Anybody else want to chime in on this? Because
I also like when they have actually like a lot of fat in them. So I guess I'm extra gross, but the more flavor, the better.
No fat. No.
I'm a fan of that
No.
myself.
Me too.
Okay. Well, I kind of knew
Hey,
this.
I have something kind of on topic here. So I just named, this is one of my favorite names ever. This woman she sells meat at a farmer's market in rural Michigan. And, you know, it's organic meat, but in Michigan, no one wants, in rural farm country, people don't want to hear the word organic, right? Like it's too West Coast or East Coast, right? So she wanted a name that she could monetize with merchandise. So she sells, you know, like lamb and chicken and rabbit meat and geese. And I eat meat, but just like thinking about her butchering rabbits is gross. But so she wanted a name she could monetize with merchandise because these tourists at the farmer's market, they're not buying meat. So she wanted something she could sell them. So something she could put on an apron, a t-shirt, a cutting board. So I came up with this name. You have to be of a certain age to get this name. But the name is Mrs. Cleaver.
I get it.
You guys get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Jason doesn't get it.
I got it.
This is not old enough for Leave It to Beaver. So Jason,
Beaver.
Leave It to
I
Beaver.
think I'm the youngest person on this
the logo.
It's definitely a specific demographic.
Yeah,
No, I think it's funny. I like it.
Thank you. And so it's Mrs. Cleaver wholesome meat because wholesome sounds better than organic in the Midwest, right? And the Midwest is wholesome, and June Cleaver was wholesome. So yeah, the logo is like this 1950s housewife with the cleaver in her hand, and she's winking.
I feel like that's something like people would get a tattoo of. Like I could just picture someone getting a tattoo of that. Like people that are into tattoos would be all over that, or other like butchers.
Yeah,
it's a good way to get like a good promotion to get like a free, 6 months worth of free or something.
Yeah,
get a tattoo of the logo.
They've done that with Turner's Tea, where if you got it tattooed on your body, I don't know if it's a lifetime or how long. I think it's a lifetime because I mean tattoos for life. Because I know someone that did that.
Well, didn't Subway do a promotion where, if you changed your name to Subway, that you got like Subway for life? Yeah.
Yeah. I can't think of a worse sub to suffer through my entire life than Subway.
Really?
I
think Subway's a cool nickname.
Yeah, but
Subway, cool nickname.
Fine, but the subs are crap.
Yeah, the actual
Yeah, they are. Oh, well, yeah, especially being from where you guys live. Like, no, of course.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
That you guys are known for like Philly cheesesteaks and like really good.
That's a different city.
Jay's laughing because he knows.
You guys are Pittsburgh. Okay, so you're not known for Philly cheesesteaks. So
the world away.
What is Pittsburgh known? I should know this.
Same state.
My parents met in Pittsburgh. My mom's from there, and my dad worked at Westinghouse. So yeah.
That's
but
cool.
No, I don't even know what Pittsburgh is known for.
We're known for like Permanentes, which like is a big thing they do is putting like French fries on sandwiches. So that, and we have a lot of pierogies, which like with like the Pittsburgh Pirates, they have like the pierogi race and everything. So like those are the two biggest things.
Well, I'm in San Diego, and we're known for carne asada fries.
Wow, I don't think I've ever had that. We're known for shitty baseball. To stick with.
Yeah, but we just got a really good recruit that's playing on Saturday.
My girlfriend's from San Diego, and she harshly judges all of our tacos out here.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, our Mexican food scene is so big. We have not only Taco Tuesday, we have Taco Thursday as well.
It's not enough for just one day.
Good with that. I do taco every day.
So then where is Erin's favorite place to get tacos in Pittsburgh? If she's very particular, because she hasn't
found too many places. She's a big fan of Bakersfield. Bakersfield's probably been the best ones that
that's
we've
like
had.
The one I dislike that place.
She likes Bakersfield. The burrito tacos at Tapache were very good. And she likes the burrito sandwich at Kaya.
Kaya's awesome.
Yeah.
Bakersfield is the name of a Mexican place?
Yes.
Yeah. I like their margaritas, but I don't really need anything else there.
Yeah.
I don't know this place. Do you have a reel on it, Stacy, that I can go get acquainted? Or is that one you skipped?
Is that one you got?
I'm not
Like
ever.
left?
I'm probably not ever gonna promote that place. No.
What's your favorite taco? La Palapa?
I mean that one's really good. It's hard to pick. Level Up is definitely it's up there. I like going there. I actually always really liked. Oh, it was in Oakland, the little stand that always got closed down.
For health code violations?
I mean, sometimes, other times it was weird things, but they were street tacos, and those were probably the best tacos I've ever had.
Don't
Wonder
sleep on
why.
the California Taco Shop. There's one in
I bet
Wexford.
maybe Aaron would actually like that place.
So I want to say to all our
Right.
not to interrupt the taco talk, but I do want to let all of our viewers know that if you want to add to the conversation, if you're in Pittsburgh and want to share where your favorite tacos are, if you have opinions on how steak should be cooked, please drop them in the comments wherever you're watching, and we'll make sure we feature them here on the screen. Also, if you have questions for anybody here on the dais tonight, please fire those at us, and we'll be happy to answer them. But to bring it back to Alexandra's original point, I do want to ask, so you said you weren't wholesome because it's better than organic. Now, aren't there people that specifically buy food in general under the guise that this actually makes a difference? I don't personally believe it, other than they can just up the price, but they buy it specifically because of the word organic.
Sure.
So removing that from the equation, does it potentially cause any issues they might have to face?
No, I think in this case, with the name Mrs. Cleaver and this like 1950s retro logo, that organic doesn't fit. Where wholesome, the word wholesome is a really nice word, and wholesome says like, oh, it's from a different time when things were better for you and not so full of chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think organic works there. And then she's an ethical butcher, which is an oxymoron to me. But sorry.
What'd you do?
I don't know. My robot clock fell over and
It's taking over.
Close my screen.
The world's biggest fear come to life on this show.
So, oh God, I always spilling things.
Get the toys off your desk.
No, my office is a mess as usual. Oh, what you can see looks good. She's an ethical butcher. So the tagline I did for her is for caring carnivores.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love the phrase ethical butcher. It's like it's like
oxymoron.
Yeah, well, it's not. It's like something that would come straight out of a TV show, like a true crime thing. I'm the ethical butcher would be like someone like that's named, like we're searching for
serial killer.
Yeah, we're searching for. It's like we're searching for Jason Cercone, the ethical butcher.
Oh, like a serial killer name.
Yeah, it wasn't ethical, but it was something butcher on Dexter. That was like one of the big killers that they had.
Was it? Oh crap! I know there was a show I watched that. Oh, it was referenced on The Sopranos, where they were going to call the movie Cleaver. Ironically enough, here in this conversation, they were going to call the movie Cleaver the pork, something about the butcher, or they're going to call the character the butcher. And it's like, no, we can't do that because of some mafia hit or something. They're like, oh yeah, not butcher, and then they moved on. So there's some irrelevant facts for everybody. So I have to ask, because we're on the subject, what is that? Like, what is it? What does it mean to be an ethical butcher? Is it like singing lullabies to the chicken before you chop its head off? Like, what's the deal here?
I imagine it's something about humanely killing animals. I don't know. It doesn't. Yeah.
There goes half the chat room.
If anything, now this should be attracting viewers, because wouldn't everybody want to know what an ethical butcher is? I know I do. This is going to be research for when the show's over.
Oh, but what is she? Oh, they do regenerative farming as well. Regenerative's a new buzzword in food, I guess. Probably like sustainable was a big word for a while there.
Yeah, anything that can justify the price tag on the food that we're purchasing in the stores these days.
Marketers are just
Nothing can justify that.
marketers are the worst.
Yeah,
Yeah, we stink.
you guys are terrible. I'm gonna mute for a second.
But just me.
I
like-
felt a sneeze coming, and then
I
it
thought,
went
I
away.
thought it was like in Pardon the or what? No, Around the Horn when he just
Oh,
like
yeah.
mutes people. They're like, you said something stupid, you get muted for 10 seconds.
Do I have that power, Jay?
I think you do.
Yes, you do.
Do
Yeah,
I
think
really?
you have that.
Oh, I
power.
do. I'm looking at it
Yeah.
now. All right, screw you, Steve. You're done for a while.
It's,
No, it's
That's
all
what he
good.
gets for not showing up for the pre-recording.
mhm.
Yeah, just winging it. Like
No,
like
I
any
say
of
that
this
all-
is planned.
I say that all the time about marketers. Marketers are like the aliens in Independence Day, in that we consume all of the natural resources of something until there's absolutely nothing left, and then we move on to the next thing. So you do this with TV, and you spam the shit out of it with commercials. You do this, and then you do it with radio, and everything's commercials, and everybody's like, oh, I got to get off radio, and then you go to satellite radio, and then they get to like, oh, we can like put more commercials and ads there, and then everyone leaves satellite radio, and they're like, well, let's go to Spotify. We do it with the internet, with display ads and pop-ups, and everyone's like, oh, I got to get ad blocker and get away from that. Like, this is just a constant cycle. Every new thing, marketers are like, let's go to the absolute lowest common denominator and spam the shit out of everything. And because the ROI is way better on if I send out a bazillion messages and get 0.5% click-through rate, that's worth it. And until that model changes, that's what marketers are going to do. They're going to continue to ruin everything and just keep moving on to the new thing, and then ruin it and move on to the new thing, and just continue that cycle until that model changes.
What do you think could make that happen? What could disrupt things and make that model change?
Until until we stop making the cost of sending marketing messages out being so cheap to do, and make sure that the cost of reaching people continues to be high. And so that's what you see in some of these some of the newer platforms that come along, is like, oh, the CTR is so high. Oh, the ROI is so much higher on these places. Well, yeah, because it's harder to reach the people, and it should be high. But marketers will continue to spam it and get to the point where they start bringing that cost down and down and down and down to the point where it becomes so cheap that, like, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you just send an email out to 1 million people? 2 people click it, that makes it worth a while. Like, you've got to make the cost of the acquisition and keep that high, and it's hard to do. It's hard. No one's, obviously, if I knew how to do it, I'd be on way bigger podcasts. But like, there's no
Where's that mute button?
Yeah. There's no real answer. Like, this is what we do. This is the constant cycle of things. And that's why, you see social media networks have a lifespan of 6 months. Anyone remember Clubhouse? How cool that thing was for 3 months, and then that became nothing. Like, it's a lot of that.
I have to interrupt and correct you there, because I know this guy, he might still be watching, and I have to give him a shout out, because if anybody is making Clubhouse work, it's Mark Radick and his empowered podcasting group. Every morning at 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. they have an hour-long. It's an open forum with a certain subject coming in, like their themes that people coming in know what they're going to talk about. But I've spoken in there several times. It's a great group, and what they've done, which I think was pure genius, was take the recordings of those Clubhouse rooms and turn them into a podcast. So they're now producing an hour, 5 hours worth of podcast content every week.
That's great.
Just from those rooms. So they've been able to utilize that room. But I think, yeah, you're right, Steve. Overall, I remember the Clubhouse was so exclusive. There were invitations on eBay for $500 that you had. That was how exclusive that club was when it first came out. You would pay that much money just to get invited in, or you needed to know somebody on the inside and they could invite you in so you could be part of this.
And that's when it was useful. And then when did it stop being useful? When it opened it up to everyone and everyone just descended on it and just infiltrated it with crap. And that's when it was everyone's like, what am I doing here? You know, why would I be here? So when you kept the exclusivity, but that's not how you make money anymore. Everything's about scale. Everything's about amassing users until there's nothing left, and then they move on.
Yeah,
it's the aliens from Independence Day.
No, I mean, having that explanation behind it, that's an incredible analogy. If I recall, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think Twitter, this is pre-Elon. I think Twitter offered them $4 million to buy them out when they were first a thing.
That sounds right.
And I think probably, look back in hindsight, be like, duh, why didn't you say yes to that? But I know they said no because they saw so much more for that platform. And I think there was this belief that social audio was going to become this enormous thing. Now, whether it's still working on LinkedIn, I don't know. Whether Twitter's version or X's version.
Billion.
Jay's got a thought, yeah.
Billion?
Billion, 4 billion.
Oh, they offered him $4 billion.
Yeah, $4 million doesn't make sense. No one's going to sell anything for $4 million.
Yeah, $4 billion makes way more
Alexandra,
sense.
I'll sell a lot of things for $4 million. Literally name anything I own, and $4 million gets you it. Like, you want a kid? You want one of my? I have 3 of them. I can spare one. $4 million.
You can make a new one with all that money. You're going to be fine.
One of the twins. There you go.
I literally have another one.
You can just say, this is why I made 2 of you, because now we can sell one off for $4 billion. That's a hell of a steal, man.
But yeah, that $4 billion, that's regrettable that they didn't take that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to be that's a hard pill to swallow, and you got to live with that one every day. Because, wow, you want to talk about getting out of it when the getting is good. That would have been the dictionary definition of that.
April 2021.
Yeah. Well, I know when it first popped was during COVID. So I think that, at the height of the pandemic, everybody was looking for any type of connectivity that was at our fingertips. And that was just happened to be the hot new thing at the time. So I'm sure they probably saw bigger dollar signs than $4 billion. Although, you know what? I mean, I'm looking at this through a much different lens than they probably were, but I don't think there's anything that I could ever create that if someone said, I'll give you $4 billion for that, I wouldn't say sold on the spot.
Right?
Seems pretty logical to me. But here I am. I'm just on this,
creating it in the first place.
I'm on this small rinky-dink podcast that Steve has been good enough to give his time to this evening. So at least that's all I've got going for me right now.
He said he'd give you $2 billion for it.
I see. I don't even. I'm a guest on the podcast. I don't even get to run the podcast. I'm a way lower tier.
I'll tell you what, and I
flattered to be invited.
We have talked about this before, Steve. I know that when we were at the Christmas party back in December, we had talked about flipping the script where you host, I'll be the guest. If you want to do that on this platform, I mean, as viewers are probably realizing up to this point, we're going to shoot from the hip every week.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, upcoming guests that I know have lined up, it'll be a little different in a one-on-one environment. But if you ever want to do that, if you ever want to test your chops as a host, I'd be glad to be the guest. It'd be nice to just step aside for a minute and answer the questions.
I think you should do it, Steve.
I believe in you.
I give anything a shot once.
I'll give you all a chance. You all have that opportunity. I know Jay's a professional, so I know he'd do a good job.
Tell my wife.
Yeah, you can tell by the backgrounds of who knows what they're doing in this space and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, let's stay on the subject of podcasts. Jay, what's going on with the Jay Franze show these days?
It's going fairly well. I mean, we're doing good. Tomorrow night, we actually have the singer from the Oak Ridge Boys is coming on. So I'm excited about that. What I do is talk to people in the music industry and give behind-the-scenes stories of what really goes on backstage and so on. So I'm excited to get him on the show and find out he's got 50 years of experience in that band, and I'm sure he has plenty of stories to tell that will give a lot of insights to the audience.
Yeah, no, that's the episodes I've listened to. I mean, you bring out some great stories in these folks, and I highly recommend anybody that has any inkling or any type of just wanting to know a little bit more about the music industry and some of the behind the scenes stuff. They need to check out your show, because you being in that role in the past, the right questions to ask to bring out those good stories, and it's very entertaining. And
it does help.
Yeah.
I've been in the industry for 35 years now, because I'm old, so that has helped. And it also helps too that a lot of these people that come on the show are people that I've worked with, so it makes getting guests a little easier than not having that connection.
Yeah.
Who's one of your favorite guests you've had on your show?
There was a girl named Presley Tennant. She was on maybe a month or so ago, and she's not as famous as a lot of the others, but she was on the television show The Voice, and she was on Kelly Clarkson's team, and she had a lot of cool stories because she was so new to it all that she had a lot of stories about what it was really like for her, and how excited she was and how nervous she got. And then Kelly Clarkson asked her to go on the road and come out to Vegas. It was Presley Tennant's birthday, and she came out to Vegas and got to sing on stage with Kelly Clarkson. And
Oh, wow.
it was just pretty cool. And since then, she's gone on to go on the road with Tim McGraw and a few others like that, Blake Shelton and some others.
Yeah, Tim McGraw was just in town.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, last night, right?
It was last week or so. I wish I
Okay.
could have been. I saw friends post stories about it. I saw them a few years ago for the Soul to Soul tour with Faith Hill, and that was probably one of my most favorite concerts I've ever seen. And the icing on the cake was on my birthday too.
There you go. See, it's something
Nice.
about being on a birthday that makes it all work.
Yeah.
So I've seen a
I think it
lot
was
of. Say it again, Stacey. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
I said, and the ticket was free. That also helped too.
That makes it much
always
better,
good.
too.
Yeah.
Free is always good. I was wondering, because I know, Jay, I've seen some of the footage that you've shared from Presley Tennant. Now it looks like she that fame is kicking in. Do you take full credit for that?
Yeah, it's all because of my show. Absolutely. She's fantastic. She's got amazing talent. Her voice is amazing.
Yes.
She deserves everything that comes to her. I mean, I've worked with so many people that probably don't deserve to be there. She truly deserves to be there, talent-wise as well as personality.
That's good stuff. No, like I said, keep up the good work, man. I love listening to your show. And again, one more plug for you, anybody watching or maybe listening in the aftermath of this, go check out the Jay Franze Show, your backstage pass to the entertainment industry.
There you go. Thank you very much.
I got the tagline down and everything.
You're so
Got
good
the
to me.
messaging on point.
Yep. All right, Stacy. I know you and I talked about this. Are we going to do it? Are we doing the Office podcast?
It would be fun.
It would, right?
I those are the kind of podcast, like some of the podcasts I listen to all the time. I mean, like when they did, I think that did launch actually during COVID. When they did for Scrubs, I listened to a lot of those. I listened to the Office ladies.
Yeah.
And it is fun to like learn more background about the episodes you already love.
Blows my mind how many of those podcasts. I mean, because there's pretty much one
There's
for
a lot
every
of
show
them.
anymore. And
Scrubs was awesome.
See, that was I liked Scrubs, but I wasn't
Fake doctors, real best friends.
Right. There you go.
I'm not a fan of either of those guys, and that's probably why I didn't like the show. I like John
I
C.
would do
McGinley. Like, he's hilarious in everything he does.
Dr. Cox was awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was so good. But that's all it takes is to not like one character, because I have a couple shows like that. Like my boyfriend loves watching Psych. And overall, I think the show's not bad, but I hate the main character so much because he has no compassion and he's just a jerk all the time. Like, I understand he's the funny guy, but like that's all he is. And it just drives me bananas. Or the one actress in Ozarks, her voice is just screeching. So I just forgot. I just didn't even bother watching the rest of the show.
Who? Not Wendy Bird.
The girl with the
Ruth.
I think her name is
Ruth.
I'm not dissing her as an actress as a whole, but in that role, I cannot stand her. So I heard one episode and I never watched it again.
It's an interesting conversation to have because in all of these stories, you have to have the protagonist, you have to have the antagonist. And when it comes to a television show or a movie, if you hate a character, they did their job. That's what they're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to hate them.
Well, I'm supposed to love the main character in Psych, and I do not.
Not necessarily. I mean, and that's the beauty of it. It's all subjective. I mean, I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. So I, have taken a lot of shit in my life, and B, understand the difference between the good guy and the bad guy. And there are people that you're going to watch and you're going to hate watch them. Like you're watching because you just, you hope they get their comeuppance. You hope somebody comes and kicks their ass or whatever.
Yeah, someone has to be the villain.
Exactly.
Well,
And
every story since Shakespeare,
exactly right.
There's a villain.
Sometimes they're not the villain and you still don't like them though. But that also, you bringing that up makes me think, did you go to Taco Mania this past weekend?
I did not go to Taco Mania.
I've missed it 2 years in a row, but it looks insane. Mania? Well, they set up a giant wrestling ring in the Southside Works, and then they have like a dozen wrestlers that, I mean, are performing all day, and then also tacos, because they always have it around Cinco de Mayo.
Is it Mexican wrestling?
Like the luchadors.
Yeah. Is it like that?
I haven't made it there, but like, I mean, they have their full garb and everything. So
sounds like
seen there and seen it live.
I've seen here in Pittsburgh there is an independent wrestling federation. I believe it's called it's KSWA or KWSA, and I apologize for not knowing which is the initials. But
it's like in Millvale, isn't it?
I don't know where I've seen them a few times was when the old bar Blue Dust down in Homestead did Brawl Under the Bridge. And they put a wrestling ring under the Homestead Grays Bridge.
Oh, that's wild.
It was awesome. Like that event was always cool. And then like you're right on top of it, and they're out in the crowd hitting the other guys with garbage cans, and you're right next to it, screaming like I'm right next to it, screaming like an idiot. Yeah, so it's great. But again, going back to the whole point of this, like it's that story. You have to have the good guy and the bad guy. You have to have the baby face and the heel. You have to have someone that you're just drawn to in a hatred type of way. It makes a more compelling story, and hopefully the hero's journey becomes even more powerful because of it.
But to tie this back to some of what, like the whole point of what we've talked about in terms of branding and all of that, like there is a forced patience and delayed gratification that branding people have to accept, that not many people have understand or accept anymore, is play to your crowd, pick your demographic, be who you are, and don't try to grow too fast.
Yeah.
That's when everyone gets in trouble, is when they try to become everything to everyone, and they try to become everything is so fast and try to scale because they want the quick buck. They want to do it's the people that put in the work and just become beloved by 9 people. Just be the greatest podcast in the world to 9 people, and just do that until it becomes 11, and it becomes 13, and then it might take 4 years to get there, but like that's the way to build it. No one has that patience anymore. No one does it for the love of what they're going to do, and just says, I freaking love wrestling, and I'm just going to be popular for the Homestead community, and that's all I'm really trying to put it on for. And just let it grow organically. No one wants to do that anymore. Everyone wants to come in and say, well, you know what? I can buy the Homestead wrestling thing, and I can take it from under the bridge in Homestead, and I can take it to Manhattan. And I'm going to do this in 6 months, and I'm going to deliver all of that ROI, and then everything fails. It's like no one wants to just accept who they are and be who they are and let it grow organically. That's if I had to give any advice to any like branding entrepreneur like that, it would be that. Just do what you do for the people that love you, and don't try to be more than that.
Yeah, and your audience can tell, and then people pick up on it, and then it's a lot of the time, like you said, kind of backfires in the end.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times if you do scale too fast, you might get to a point where you're like looking at everything going, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I got here so fast, I didn't learn anything along the way.
Everyone wants to be the lottery ticket, and they don't realize that, like, Uber, I don't even know if they're making a profit now. I mean, they're 10, 15 years in. They weren't even turning a profit because it's all about scale. I want to just get more and more money. I want to do this. And it's like, at some point, isn't it better to be smaller and turning a profit than like being bigger and being in the red and eventually going bankrupt and losing your soul in the process?
Right. I mean, to butcher a saying, if you're trying to be everything to everyone, you end up
He said
being
butcher.
nothing to
Nothing.
no one.
That's a butcher.
To be a credible butcher, what was it again?
Ethical.
Ethical butcher. Credible, ethical. Well,
I think that might be the branding for some PE firms. Actually, we're the ethical butcher, like of your company.
Well, Alexandra, in the naming space with all of this, with what we're talking about with that growth, these companies that you worked with, you've probably seen that as you've developed a good brand, like especially the ones that you may have rescued, quote unquote, given them a much better name that spoke more to who they are and what their mission and their values and their culture is. Where have you seen some of those big, I mean, could be small, could be big, but where have you seen a lot of those brands take off and ultimately get to a better point of sustainable growth because they actually had that good brand name, they had the right vision in mind, they weren't trying to take over the whole world all at once? What has been your experience in that space?
We worked a long time ago. We worked with this company they're a vertical farming company, and their name was C. Jane Farm. And if you were under 30 years old, you had no idea what C. Jane Farm was in reference to. And then, people older knew it was referring to the Dick and Jane books that we read in elementary school. C. Jane Run, C. Dick, get a pail of water. And so the name wasn't working for them. And they went about, they were a startup, but they went about things the right, yes, the name was wrong, but they knew pretty quickly that it wasn't working for them and they needed something different. So they came to us and they wanted to go global, and they needed a name that would appeal to people who would work, it would work across all over the place. So we rebranded them Plenty, and so they got funding. Once we named them Plenty, they got $200 million in funding, and from SoftBank, which is the same company that funded WeWork. So they haven't made all good investments, but that was a good one. And last year, Plenty was named one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential companies. And to date, they've raised almost $1 billion in funding. But they grew the right way. And they slowed down enough to know, like, hey, this name isn't working for us. Because a lot of times people, they are growing too fast, or they're like, oh, we'll change the name later. That's definitely happened to us, where we have worked with a company that has wanted to change their name, but then they're growing so fast that they haven't, but then the name no longer fits them, but it's at that point, it's almost too late. So that's kind of an example. I know it's an unusual example because the company did get so big, but they did it the right way.
Yeah, Jay, I know we talked about this to some degree when we did our episode. The fact in podcasting, I think that's one of the biggest culprits that causes a person to abandon their show far too soon. They're expecting the whole world to show up on the first night. Like, I knew world premiere, I wanted to have some fun tonight. I wanted to connect with people I knew because it's the first episode. The world's not showing up to watch this. And to prove Steve's point from earlier, I know that it takes time to establish yourself as someone that's going to be there consistently. And that's when the audience will start to take notice and say, okay, they're there every week. They're delivering value. They're entertaining. There's something for me to get from this. I'm going to give them my time so they can provide me with just that. But that doesn't happen immediately. And too many new aspiring podcasters, whether they be on the hobbyist side or companies and brands that want to lean into this, they come into it thinking that Joe Rogan numbers are just 1 or 2 episodes away. And then when nothing happens, they get pissed off and they say, well, this doesn't work. And they move on to something else. And then you've got this pile of abandoned podcasts in the podcast graveyard. So I know that being patient in today's world is extremely hard, because when you go online, all you see are the highlight reels that people are posting of all these grand accomplishments. But what they aren't posting were all the failures and all the struggles and everything it took to get to that point of a highlight reel. So, Jay,
Those
please
are in my
interject your
posts.
thoughts.
Those failures are all in my posts. No, you're right. I mean, it used to be that what was it? 95% of all podcasts fail after 7 episodes or before they reach 7 episodes, and recently that has been now changed to 5 episodes. So
Yeah.
people they're just not seeing success, so therefore they just give up. But it does. It takes time. I mean, I've done hundreds of episodes, and I'm still by two listeners trying to make it up to 11, like Steve said. So this stuff takes time. It really does take. I mean, I can't stress that enough. It takes time, and you really have to be consistent, and not just consistent with your schedule, but consistent with your message, consistent with the delivery and the brand and everything else that goes along with this. And we have these conversations all the time, putting these things together, and would it matter if I did this, or do you think this would make things better? Small tweaks, major tweaks, but you don't know until you try them. So try them now, like Stacy said, specifically try them now while your audience is small and nobody's gonna really care to begin with, and then eventually you'll grow.
It's a difference between doing something because you just love doing it and you're having fun, versus like I'm trying to make a quick buck and exit. And I don't know what the stats, and Jay, I think those are great stats, but like I'd go even deeper and look at all the CEOs in the last 5 years that have created podcasts. And I can probably name a dozen just of people I've worked with who didn't even make it to 5, and they get to 2 or 3, and they're like, why am I spending all this time doing a podcast when I've got 50 listeners, or I've got owning my family listening? I'm done, I'm out. And they leave and they drop it, and then you have like 2 or 3 episodes. That's I don't know how many I've it's the same thing that I did with social media back in 2010. I got everyone on social, every one of my clients. I was like, you got to get on social, you got to get on Twitter, you got to get on Facebook, you got to do Wikipedia, you got to do all these things. And then by 2013, 2014, I was telling all my clients, don't do this. Like, don't go out there and do this. Everyone's going to do this. Have a reason, have a purpose. Do it for another reason other than to try and amass 1 million followers in 6 months, because it's not going to happen. And we're at the same boat again, back to the marketing cycle of death. It's like you're just going to continue to do that over and over and over again.
I would do my show whether or not I had a listener or not. I enjoy it. I love talking to the people.
That's what I tell anybody that's starting a podcast or doing a podcast with a guest. You get to have a dynamic conversation with one person, and it's going to be about something you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. Who gives a shit if someone else listens to it? Eventually, the people are going to realize that you're damn good at what you do, and they're going to show up and listen. But in the meantime, you get to hang out. You get to talk about what you're doing. You get to meet somebody that you never know where that relationship could go. They may have the perfect opportunity for you, and you won't know that until you collaborate and you get to know one another. To speak to what you were saying, Steve, and Jay, you too. For me, when I think of this mindset of, well, why would I continue doing this? I only have 50 listeners. The analogy I always give was, what if those 50 people showed up for a party at your house? Are you going to ignore them, or are you going to treat them with respect because they showed up? And those 50 people are proving that maybe it's a small crowd now, but maybe every single one of them turns around to one person the next day and says, you've got to listen to this podcast. And if every one of those people listen, now you've got 100 listeners. And that's where growth can start to really happen. But no one has the patience for that.
Flip it back the other way, though, Jason, and just look at it just of the 5 of us, and just be like, listen, if you called me and you were like, hey, we're hanging out at Hitchhiker, you want to come down for an hour and have a beer or two? Absolutely. Right. This is fun. Like, I don't care who's listening. It doesn't matter. I would be doing it just for the conversation, to hang out. If one other person listens, awesome. But that's not why I'm doing it. And like, I think that's to Jay's point. Like, he'd be doing this regardless. And I think that's where you start seeing the magic happen. And as you grow from there, then you add on all the other shit. Like, you add on the marketing, and you add on the paid social, and you add on all that other. But like, unless you have that passion and that interest, it's going to be really hard to kind of fake it.
Well, Jason, to
100%.
tag on what you said, the very first guest I had on my show was a band called Von Ray, and it's a band that I grew up in. They were in the 90s. They were big in the 90s. They opened up for Creed and Nickelback and went on the road with those guys. But that was a band that I just loved. I absolutely loved them. So the fact that I reached out to them, they agreed to come on the show and be the first guinea pig on the show and do all that stuff, that's a conversation that I would do for nothing every day of the week. So, it's about the relationships and about the people you meet. And if you get that going for you, the rest will come in time.
Yeah, now you can go back and relive that too.
Yeah, that's one of the best parts. Stacy, I wanted to bring your perspective into this too, because in the social media world, a lot of it is this immediacy of, my God, why can't my account grow so fast?
Right.
And where do you see this going for social media? I mean, again, we know, my God, that these things, by the time I finish this sentence, the algorithm just changed. So where are we? Like, where do you feel this is going in regards to what people are going to get from social media? But from a creator's standpoint, how are you going to continue to navigate what's becoming even choppier waters day after day?
Well, to put in 2 points, like to talk about myself personally and how we were kind of saying, like, you do it because you love it and you enjoy it. That's why I do it. I have like a little under 5,000 followers, which, I mean, it's fine for Pittsburgh, the place I live. I mean, I know I'm like I think I called myself like a E-level Pittsburgh celebrity as far as like social media goes. But I mean, I do it because it's my hobby and I enjoy it. I've met so many great people, learned so many new things about restaurants, like just diving into that different scene and being up on it and trying new places and things. Like, I do it because it's a passion. And I've always liked social media. So I like staying up with it and learning more things and how it's evolving. At the same time, like for myself and other friends that I have, I do know that we do sometimes put in a lot of work for not a lot of payback. And that's something that people always complain about, and they'll say, I mean, I put this much time into this reel for 20 people to like it. Like, what's the point? Like, who's actually listening to me? And people are responding to those cries. And I actually just read last week how Instagram is like looking into that, where they're trying to actually amplify small content and smaller creators, because they keep complaining about that, and they're trying to actually connect you with the audience that you want and actually getting those smaller creators more views rather than the algorithm that they have currently. So
that's great.
That mostly answers your question. So, I mean, people are frustrated. I think it is coming to light a little bit more now because there's a lot of people like me or want to grow and want to do better. And if you're putting all this work, like, they're just kind of asking for a little bit help on the other side, not to just be, lost into the abyss. But I will keep posting mine no matter what. Even if I don't gain any more followers and it stays the way I am, you will still see Yin's Hungry 412 out on the food scene.
Nice. Good. Because you've helped with a lot of direction. But no, I think that one of the biggest complaints is the fact that it is so ad driven now and algorithm driven now that you're not seeing what you would want to see. Like, I think of what I do see, and the algorithm knows me. I'm not gonna lie about that. It knows what I'm spending the most time with because here's more of it.
It's gotten smarter.
Here's your loophole or your rabbit hole. But no, I'm looking at this from a perspective, like, I know what I'm going to start doing with Instagram, and I'll spill it now. I mean, it's, again, for the few people that are watching, they'll get to hear. I'm going strictly live streaming. I'm going to start doing a daily, at least 5 days a week live stream, and that's my Instagram content. It's the one thing that I haven't fully leaned into, at least trying. I've tried the reels, I've tried the stories, I've tried carousels, and nothing has really popped. And I blame myself a lot because I know that my consistency could have been better, and I probably could have kept at it longer. But it's also one of those things that I look at, podcasting, social media, which one would I rather spend more time with? Podcasting wins every time, so this is where my focus is. But I feel going that live stream route is going to speak very, very closely to what I'm doing in the podcast space. And, doing this series here, this is something that I've wanted to lean into, and I feel like it's going to be a great progression for me and my brand.
What are you doing? Like, so I go back to what I was saying earlier. Like, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for your listeners? Are you doing it for your guests? Or are you doing it for an algorithm? And I find that like if you're doing it for an algorithm, it's like playing the lottery. Like maybe you figure it out, you hit it, great, and good work for you, and you're a Kardashian and you can become a hit. But it's not scalable, it's not sustainable. It's buying a lottery ticket. If you're doing it for you, because you're like, I just enjoy this and I just enjoy talking to people, and if I get my mom is my only listener, so be it. I don't care. I'm still going to do it. And then you tend to be more happy and you tend to be more successful doing it that way, because then the algorithm kind of figures it out eventually. It's just
right.
You have the patience to do it.
So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to share this question. It's from my main man, Kevin Masuda. I don't know if he's serious or not, but we're going to act like he's serious. If you know Kevin, you know why I'm asking this. And I'm going to let Stacy. Let's do this wrong answers only. And Kevin, I'm sorry if you are being serious about this tomorrow. You can punch me when I walk into our meeting. He also said, how do I use it? So I say we can do this in a very tongue-in-cheek type of way, but in case Kevin is serious, let's do a little bit of both. Stacy, start us off here.
Shirtless bathroom mirror pics, right?
I was going to go
right.
in the middle, like the place where I find way too many clothing that I'm interested in and buy. So like it's the reason that my credit card is crying sometimes.
Well, and also Alexandra, I know you're
from Instagram.
I have, and I'm the same way. Like I've stopped doing it because it's never what you thought you were ordering. It's like everything is wish.com. Alexandra, you're pretty new to Instagram too. So what's been your perspective on Instagram, and how do you feel Kevin should use it for his business?
Wait, wrong answers only, or can I provide a right answer?
Do both. Do both.
Okay. Well, Instagram is a way for me to brag about what I'm doing.
And I hate to interrupt you. He said he's serious. That's the comment too. So
he's serious.
We're gonna do serious answers now. Sorry.
So I have a personal Instagram and a business Instagram. So my personal Instagram is a way for me to brag about how freaking cool my backyard is, and my Instagram account is at San Diego Bitchin' Backyard, because I do live in the cradle of Bitchin', which is what we call it here where I live in Ocean Beach. So yeah, I have a super cool backyard, and it just is a great place to post photos of. You can see like a video of our tiki being carved with a chainsaw out of a palm tree. Just show off our pool and our cool surfboard fence and tiki bar. So that's what that is for. And then the business side, I don't know. I was kind of forced to have it because every podcast I'm ever on wants to know what my Instagram is. But I don't have the consistency there that I should. But look, you can't be on every social media platform. I mean, LinkedIn is where my clients are, and so that's where I'm going to spend most of my time. So that's what it is for me, but mainly just a place to show off.
Yeah, I think you make a good point, Alexander, that you have to find the platform that's going to engage you the most, and you want to have fun with what you're creating and what you're sharing on that platform, but also it's where your target people are. So I know personally TikTok was not where I wanted to be because I was just hating everything, and I know I'm not going to find the right people that I want to work with there. So I got off there. So Kevin, to answer your question from my perspective, Instagram is a platform that started off as a photo sharing social media app and has evolved into like a picture/video driven Facebook. That's since Facebook /Meta bought it, I think that was their objective, to try to get it as closely aligned with the Facebook platform and matching algorithm as they possibly could. So you see so many ties and similarities now. If you're on Facebook, you see Instagram posts, you see threads. If you're on Instagram, you're seeing Facebook posts and threads. If you're on threads, you're seeing they're interweaving their entire meta world, so you're always on the meta world. So honestly, Kevin, if you do want to talk about it more, I'd be happy to sit down with you and at least, I mean, I'm no expert by any means. I can tell you what I know and then maybe refer you to Stacy, who does much better with these things than I do.
Yeah, that's where I post food pics, to put it the most simply. But I mean, I put a little bit more work into it than just food pics. You can ask my boyfriend, who is also the part-time photographer.
He does a good job too.
I'll let him know.
He's
He works for the free food.
He's not watching. I mean, I thought we'd at least get
he
to
might
see
be
every others
downstairs. He's not going to comment, but he might be downstairs.
Well, he's capturing you taking those bites. I think that's what's selling the goods.
Mm-hmm.
So Kevin also asks who looks at the posts. That would be whoever's following you, or now that it's algorithm driven, it could pop up with somebody that would potentially like the type of content that you are sharing, how you have it tagged, how you have it hashtagged. Again, half speaking out of my ass here because, again, the algorithm just changed again before I finished this sentence. It's what it does. But anyway.
Hey, Jason, could you display everybody's name so if anybody wants to go reach out to Stacy, they can?
Yeah, how do I do that?
In your brands tab.
Oh, Steve actually did my okay, where's where?
On the right, brand, and then one of the top one is the name, the display name.
Oh.
But she didn't think you learned something today.
Followers.
I was hoping that I would. Why isn't everybody's name popping up?
Because you got to get the comment off the screen.
I knew that. That was actually what was in my head as to why. Look at that. Oh, Stacy's even got the Yin's Hungry 412 branding.
I know. I'm always thinking.
I mean, this is a good platform though, Jason. Like this is cool. Like and all the tools that you have on your end, I think makes sense. It makes for a nice experience.
Good. Well, I'm glad you guys had fun, and I think that this is where it's a good place for us to wrap up. So, as we bring our season 1 class reunion to a close, everybody please take a quick minute to share some parting words with the Bomb Squad. Feel free to lead us off.
I mean, I think
Steve, go for it.
We talk about blowing things up, right? Like that's the whole thing. That's what you need to do. Everyone wants to play it safe. Everyone wants. I was literally talking to a client earlier today about, in the higher ed space, and this is not a time to pussyfoot around like, oh, it's the sea of sameness and we got to differentiate. Yes, that's the time honored trope of advertising and branding for decades, but at this point, everyone's saying the same stuff. Everyone's trying to do the same thing. Everyone's trying to make incremental changes. Remember that the big swings, the risks aren't as high anymore, and the rewards are even higher. So, like when you look at the value, the risk that you're taking, it isn't as big, because if you take a big swing and you don't hit when it comes to branding, the downside of it is not as bad as the upside of possibly really resonating and taking that big swing. So with the way things are going across industries, take the big swing, be creative, come up with something new, try something different, and then just don't be afraid to backpedal. Don't be afraid to say, like, we tried something new, it didn't work, we're going back to something else. Like, no brains want to do that anymore. Everyone's risk averse. Stop being so risk averse and just take your swing and try it.
Beautifully said, my friend. You've had a couple mic drop moments tonight.
I agree with that. You cannot afford to be a wallflower. You have got to stand out, be bold. Yeah, it's okay if something makes, like when we're naming things, if a name makes somebody uncomfortable, it's usually because they haven't seen it before. Like, oh, I don't know, but like that's a good thing. It's okay. You can be bold, and that's how you're going to get noticed.
Yeah. I know I agree with both of you. And also, as we were kind of saying, like, stay true to yourself. And I mean, do these things like we were all talking about because you're passionate about it, because you enjoy about it. Because, I mean, if that's not there, everyone else is going to know that you're not enjoying it and you're just in it for in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that stands out for sure.
I think the other thing to throw in there too is, everybody's mentioning the same type of things, but when it comes to social media, as much as I go out and try to get my name on every platform there is, I only focus on a few of those platforms. I might go on the others and read information or see what's going on, but I spend the majority of my time on, whether it be Instagram or Twix or whichever one we want to, reference.
Twix?
But yeah, Twitter and X, Twix.
Twix.
That's
Oh,
way better than what they have right now.
yeah. Twix
I'd
is
much
good.
rather start writing that than formally Twitter every single time.
Yeah,
No.
seriously.
Twix.
I like
So,
I like the left one better than the right.
So I think it's more important, or at least I'm finding it more important to me to engage with the people that I'm following with, or just people that I'm not following with, and that's growing my following a lot quicker than trying to just post ads or trying to sucker people into seeing something. Nobody cares if you post the same episode this, episode that type thing. You have to do it for awareness. But I think it's more important to go out and just start talking to people who are in your field and just start real conversations. And that's helped me quite a bit. I've had plenty of meetings. I've been able to meet people at conferences because of it, meet people when I'm on the road. So I think that to me has been more valuable than just making posts.
Make social media social again. That's such a novel concept.
If I could do the clap emoji here, I would do it.
You could just
Yeah, if we were on Zoom, you could do this and all the emojis
Yep.
would start popping up and flying around. So, well, as expected, this was a phenomenal way to kick off Let's Blow This Up Live. It was great getting together with all of you again, whether it was just a small amount of people watching to anyone that did take the time to join us tonight. Thank you very much. And this will be happening every single Wednesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Next week, who the hell is coming on with me next week? Hang on. I should have known this, right?
leave them in suspense.
I don't know. Maybe I'll just get some AI bot
You have to
join
tune
me.
in. You have to tune in to see.
I'm gonna bring somebody on, just keep muting their mic every 5 seconds, and we'll see where it goes from there. But in all seriousness, again, thank you for watching. You guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Don't just pop out of here until I say so as I shut this down. But again, I appreciate you, all of you, taking the time. This was a great reunion, and hopefully we get an opportunity to do this again in the future. You're always going to be welcome back here on Let's Blow This Up Live. Open
Of course,
invite.
and we'll have to do it like in your studio. We'll all gather. We'll grab a beer. We'll hang out in the studio. Alexandra will
bar.
fly out. It'll be fun.
You guys can come out here to my San Diego bitchin' backyard.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
you twisted my arm.
I've
Yes,
seen
no.
I've seen the shots. Alexandra, it would not be a hard sell to make
Right.
that happen. But anyway, no, I think we could, one way, shape, or form. I'll tell you guys this. This isn't news I can share publicly, but I can tell you guys after we sign off about the studio idea. So again, for everybody out there in viewing land, in the Bomb Squad, thank you so much for joining us for the world premiere of Let's Blow This Up Live. Until we meet again next week, I'm your host, Jason Cercone, reminding you to stay explosive. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.